Welcome to the Bulls Guys podcast. I'm your host, Kenyatta Wright, and this is my co-host, Mr. Kataka.
Bulls fans, what's up?
We're here to bring Bulls fans the results of the Washington Wizards and Chicago Bulls game. The Bulls' second blowout in a row, 102-82 over the Washington Wizards. We're going to get right in and talk about this game right after this break. The Bulls Guys podcast can now be heard and followed on all social media platforms. Follow us on YouTube, IG, Facebook, and Spotify.
Season. So if you can do it, do it.
Back-to-back, excellent defensive efforts too for the Bulls.
Back-to-back. They've held two opponents under 90 since 2017, April. And you can drive home safely. Beep, beep.
All right, back on the Bulls Guys podcast. So Kataka, Bulls making pretty good work last two games, blowing out the Nets and then blowing out the Wizards. This looks like a different team with Pat Beverly on it, kind of what I predicted. They've been hustling, they've been playing good defense, they've been moving the ball. Shit, I even seen DeRozan pass the ball a lot more than I ever seen him pass it this year.
Yeah, man, it's definitely a different feel. I know a lot of people don't really see that by just one guy, but you don't necessarily have to be no scorer, you know what I'm saying, to make an impact. So yeah, I'm definitely seeing a different team.
Yeah, man. And the thing I like about it is that they're maintaining this consistency throughout the game. They're not letting anything, deter them from, blowing the entire game. Yeah, sure, teams are going to make leads. I think the closest Washington cut this is like to 4. But the Bulls went right back at it and built that lead right back up, attacking the rim. Alex Caruso with those barrage of three-point shots really lifted us. Pat Bev's energy and Zach LaVine really looked like Zach LaVine. You know what I mean? It's just amazing, man. How different a team can look like when you have a floor general, a legitimate floor general, a coach on the floor and in the locker room.
Yeah, man, I haven't seen Zach not just dwell on just three-point shots. I mean, I've seen him, cut to the basket, take his time. You know what I mean? I've seen DeRozan do his thing. I even see Vooch even asking for the ball in the paint, and then you actually giving it to him. So I see a lot of cutting and driving and pick and popping, which is what we need. And man, this is a big difference.
82% from the free throw line, 26% from three from the Bulls, 8 for 30. The Bulls could do a lot better from three, but sure, yeah. 50. Yeah, you know what I mean? That's horrible.
Yeah, 28, 26%. Yeah,
26%. And 8 for 30 from three-point. They shot 50% from the field, so 40 for 79.
But I will say this, though. Even though they shot poorly, the key thing that actually kept them in the game and actually took them over the top was that defense. I mean, sometimes, the three ain't going to fall. But if you can shut other teams down, create turnovers, that's just as good.
Yeah, well, like the Bulls' activity around the rim has been somewhat amazing. Block on Kuzma from Patrickbeverly, and then you had the block from Andre Drummond as well in the paint. So they got some defenders, man. It just gives me like goosebumps wondering how they'd look if they had Javonte Green in here.
Yeah, man. The crazy part is, bro, is that when they have that lineup, when you actually have Pat Bev, Caruso, and Javonte Green all in that same lineup at one point in time, I mean, hell, ain't no shots going off. So I'm curious to see how that's gonna work out.
The Washington Wizards is still ahead of us. We got one more loss than them. We're 28-33. They're 28-32. Bradley Beal, man, what's going on with him, man? He only had 18 points tonight, 7 for 17 from the field. He ain't look like himself tonight.
Yeah, they took him out of his. They took him out of his element. I don't know if he's. I don't know if he's really content on being on this team. I know he agreed to that contract, but I just don't really sold on who he playing with. You know what I mean? But and he just. I mean, you could tell he just stayed there for the money. But I mean, he could have done like if he wants to win so bad, he could have. He could have just foregone that money and just went somewhere else and got paid. I really don't think that he really bought into either that coach or bought into that team, the system.
I think he bought into the money and the contract that they offered him.
Exactly. You know, and that's just like Dame Lillard. You know what I'm saying? Because Portland they got a long shot in bringing a ship to Portland, but yeah, you got to choose either you want to win or you want that money.
The most impressive thing to me about what the Bulls are doing is the defensive end, of course.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've always known that this team can score, but to have 11? They had 11 blocks in this game, bro. Washington had 16 though, but points on turnovers. The Bulls had 15 points on turnovers.
Mm-hmm.
Their largest lead was 21 points. But 11 block, no, not 11 block shots. I'm sorry. The Bulls had 3 block shots. Got that mixed up with the turnovers. But they forced 16 Washington turnovers. 21 assists, moving the ball. And I'm going to tell you what, I'm getting a lot of comments on the Bullseye Facebook group saying, well, they're just going to lose in the first round. I don't know if I can say that, bro.
It ain't gonna be no easy out. I mean, I'm gonna say that, especially when you get Javonte Green back. It ain't gonna be no. And they get 20-some games under their belt with Patrick Bev. This is only game 2, and once they get to that point that that they actually in the playoffs and they got Patrickbeverly, they get acclimated to him, and you get Javonte Green back. It ain't gonna be no easy out. You know what I'm saying? And I know guys saying when I know I got into it with it. I didn't get into it, but when I had a little discussion, is one guy saying it was only one game. How can just one guy? Dude, did you see Patrickbeverly even coach the bench when they took the starters out? He even went to the bench and coached the bench like, hey, hold this lead, run some clock, do clock management, and that's exactly what they did. They built the lead up even more, and they controlled the clock.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, man.
Well, that's what was lacking before because we had a bunch of guys out there just playing,
right.
And nobody's holding nobody accountable. Nobody's correcting anybody. Listen, you're gonna make mistakes on the floor. It's bound to happen. Right. But I want to see guys corrected. Billy Donovan didn't even do that as a coach and pull guys. Well, I know from watching the game. I don't know what he do in the locker room. But from watching the game, when them guys made mistakes, he didn't pull them to the side and say, well, you should have did this. I didn't see that. You know what I'm saying? Or at least I didn't see it a lot. But you need that. You need guys to be coached on the floor. A lot of these guys on this team is young, man. Pat and Kobe White, they're very young players. And Ayo.
Right.
So they're still in their, their early stages. And to have them just go out there and make mistakes and not correct them, they're going to be thinking they're doing everything right. And they're not. So you needed somebody like him, if not for the better overall results of the team that the team is given, for the growth of the young players, to have a vet like Pat Bev.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm kind of shocked that Ayo, speaking of the bench, Ayo didn't score anything. I know his shots was off. I mean, he was shooting that corner 3. I would have liked for him to just drive to the hole a lot more and push the ball, because that second unit, man, they can be very potent, man. Especially coming off the rebound and Drummond kick it out. I mean, you got him, you got Kobe, you got Pat. All them guys can be pushing that ball. I mean, if Ayo just get the boards and just push the ball, Kobe go to his spot. He will go to his spot on the other side. You know what I'm saying? And get you a cutter. Somebody can grab that boards. I mean, they can be lethal.
Mm-hmm. Well, listen, I don't really look at individual performance. I look at the team, and these guys is playing unselfish. They're joking around with each other. They're celebrating after the game. They're laughing. They're having fun. They're talking to each other on every play.
Right.
Man, this is like what you see from veteran ball clubs, this type of stuff. Teams that
Mm-hmm.
went through the motions, and then and then they finally come together and chemistry is developed. So yeah, I would side with Bullseye fans to say, yeah, how can a guy change this team in 2 days? But like I already established, podcast after podcast, the talent was always there.
Yeah.
They just didn't know their strength. And like I made an analogy on Bullseye Facebook group. It's like a giant that doesn't know his strength. Oh, I referred that to Pat.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like this team was good enough, but they didn't know how good they were. I mean, come on, man. You look at the names. I said this was the deepest team in the Eastern Conference, and I stand by that.
Mm-hmm.
They obviously weren't being coached well. After a loss, seeing their attitudes, the way they came out after a loss, it was just like, okay, let's just go regular again. Nah, you can't go regular again. You just got beat by 20. You have to come out and show that you were angry. Are you even angry that you got beat by 20? So the urgency wasn't showing every night. And to have this guy come over, Pat Bev, and change the culture of the team. And a lot of it is because Zach and DeRozan actually likes this guy. A lot of people like Pat Bev.
Yeah.
So that's going to help people listen to him too, that he's liked,
Yeah, because they know that he's going to come in and he's going to get him in players' heads, you know what I'm saying? And he's going to come in, he's going to bust his ass. He's going to come in and do the small stuff, you know what I'm saying? He's going to give people rights. And you got to respect somebody like that. You know what I'm saying? He's like the poor man's Lonzo Ball in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
But
I'm just a little bit curious why Bullseye fans keep saying only one guy. Did you see Golden State for years? I think without Draymond Green motivating them and with the demeanor that he plays with, I don't think they're the same team without him.
That's a great analogy. Yeah, he is. Patrickbeverly is like the Draymond Green. Do the dirty work, do the small stuff, hype the team up, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's a great analogy.
Every team need a leader and an enforcer.
You have to.
So, yeah, every team needs that. You know what I'm saying? Pat Bev, I'm going to go on record right. He's the backbone of this team.
Yep, he is. Yep.
Because he's going to hold guys accountable. And backbone of the team and, the X factor doesn't have to mean that you have to be the best player on the team. Because we know Draymond ain't the best player on the Warriors by a long shot, but he's needed for what they need. He need to get physical. He need to get rebounds. He need to jump out of bounds. He need to talk trash. Yep. He need to hype his team up anytime they're slipping up.
Yep, you just like the 90s Bulls had Dennis Rodman. Dennis Rodman was that player.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, and John Starks was that player for the Knicks.
Michael Jordan, I think, was more so that for the Bulls, man, because seeing that last dance, the way he was talking to his teammates in practice.
Oh yeah, practice. Yeah, he was a beast.
He was the bad guy. They didn't like him, but listen, he was trying to get results, man. He wasn't trying to be liked.
Exactly.
And how can you argue? They won 6 championships.
Yep.
So I'm not going to argue with the kind of leader he was, like everybody else has been doing. But yeah, nonetheless, Michael Jordan to me was one of the best leaders, probably the best leader we ever had in the Chicago Bulls uniform.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with you because thinking about other teams, he's the only one that actually got the get the 6 championships. A close person I would say was Joakim, but they didn't win enough. But yeah, you're right. He's the one.
See, and the thing is, basketball is a simple game, as Stacey King always say in games when he's broadcasting, and it really is that simple. When you move the ball around, the defense has to chase the ball. The defense has to actually work to get the ball. But when one player is just dribbling the ball and holding it up and nobody else is moving, the defense could kind of just lock in on one area of the court and force a turnover.
Mm-hmm.
And as the person that's holding the ball and being a ball hog actually makes your job harder instead of easier by not using your teammates.
Yep.
So, I
agree with you. Yep.
Yeah, ball movement, the Bulls always been like that, even since the baby Bulls. Ball movement has to take place, even though in the Jordan years, the triangle. The ball has to move.
Yeah, and that's a great point. That's why it's really key. Well, that's one thing I did notice in the short amount of time that Pat Bev had is that DeRozan and Zach don't necessarily. If you notice, they haven't actually held the ball as much.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, Zach, he'll get his shots in. DeRozan go to his mid range spot, but when things get kind of chaotic and they things need to settle down, you had your point guard, Patrickbeverly, make sure he's facilitating, you know what I'm saying? So, and then even on the bench, I mean, you got Ayo doing the same thing, and Caruso still moving that ball around. So I don't know if this is something that was discussed in practice or something they thought about over the break. But I mean, whatever's working, you got to keep doing it. We got to kick it game by game. We got Toronto coming up. Toronto's going to be an even tougher matchup than these last two games.
Yeah.
So they still trying to fight to, stay in the playoff hunt. You know what I mean? So Bulls going to have to, take this win, enjoy it. But now we're on to the next person.
I'm up here watching them up against Cleveland, man. Listen, Toronto ain't no slouch. They got Van Vliet is out. Yeah, a personal reason, so he's out.
They got height. I mean, they got a lot of height, though.
Yeah, man. Yo, listen, Toronto was one of those teams the Bulls had problems with last year. Gary Trent Jr. is the one that's subbing in for Van Vliet tonight.
Yeah, he can shoot lights out.
Good young player. Plays really hard. And he plays with a lot of passion.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to get into Javonte Green. When should Bulls fans expect him back, if at all? Right after this. The Bulls Guys podcast can now be heard and followed on all social media platforms. Follow us on YouTube, IG, Facebook, and Spotify. It's the Bulls Guys podcast. Follow us on all social media platforms. Show us your support. Back on the Bulls Guys podcast. So Kataka been reading some reports on Javonte Green having a bone bruise. I think the last game he played was New Year's Eve or around that time against the Cleveland Cavaliers was his last game. And he was expected to be out for the entire season. But now reports are coming out from Billy Donovan and Bulls camp saying that, he's showing progress. There's been video of him shooting around in practice. And he's expected to be back. He actually was supposed to be out only for I think a month and a half or something like that.
Yeah.
And he's supposed to get surgery. What have you been hearing about that? Because I've been hearing that he should be back before the playoffs. I
thought he was supposed to have been back within a couple of weeks. But I haven't heard anything recently. But I mean, see. I just hope this is something that's not going to be a lingering effect because, I mean, we really need him. Our bench really needs him to really take us to that extra step because we need another dog coming off that bench with those young guys. I'm not relating this to the Lonzo Ball situation, but, it's the longer he sits out, the more and more you got to be like, okay, well, this is just like Lonzo Ball. We can't just limp our way into the playoffs. This is actually going to make or break us taking it that step further, too. It's our bench, and he's could be another spark plug coming off that bench. So, I mean, that's the only thing I've been hearing.
I love this guy, man. He's one of my favorite players on the team. He comes play hard every night. He'll run through a wall for his team, literally. I've seen how reckless this guy is, man. Some certain nights, man, he got hurt a couple times on certain nights as hard as he goes.
Yeah.
I love his passion, man. And I could honestly say, out of everybody on the team, including Caruso, I think this was the hardest worker that we had on our team. So for me personally, for me personally, it hurts me to know that he's out because man, we could use them right now. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we need them, like based on the way we're playing right now. But I think in a playoff series,
We're gonna
you're
need
gonna
them.
take all the weapons you can get.
We're gonna need them. Yeah. You know, you're gonna need him, and you're gonna need Dalen Terry. You're gonna need some type of energy spark plug. I mean, I want to see them two plus Caruso, you know, on the floor coming up that second unit, man. Because teams are gonna bring it 110% even more when it comes to that playoffs. So we're definitely gonna need him.
All right, we're gonna take a quick break, folks. When we get back, we're gonna give our final thoughts and we're gonna close out the show right after this break. It's the Bulls Guys Podcast. Follow us on all social media platforms. Show us your support. Back on the Bulls Guys Podcast. So Kataka,
Yeah.
what do you think, man? Are we going for a third win in a row?
I think we can pull it off. Are we in Toronto or are we gonna be here? I thought we gotta play the
Let me check it out.
I think we gotta play Phoenix and we gotta play who else?
We playing Phoenix next?
No, we're playing Phoenix soon. They like the next 2 or 3 games away.
All right, so let me see. The Bulls are at Toronto Tuesday.
Okay.
And then they're at Detroit on March 1st.
Okay, that's a winnable game, but they be taking slightly even.
On Friday, March 3rd, they're going to be in Phoenix. No, versus Phoenix.
Okay, so that means we here.
And then they take on the Pacers and Denver. So, I mean, they're going to be at Denver. And you know how hard it is for us to play in Denver. It took us years to even get a win in Denver. Last year, we broke the streak. What was it, 20-something games or something like that? Or 17 years or something we didn't win in Denver?
Yeah, it's the altitude there for some reason. You're messing us. We play in Denver.
I think this schedule, I can see the Bulls going easily 3-2. That Toronto game worries me, going up to Toronto. That might be a doozy. And it's always tough playing in Denver, the number 1 team in the Western Conference right now.
Yeah, I see our 2 losses being Phoenix and Denver. But I think Toronto, we can probably edge it out. It ain't gonna be a blowout. But I think we can pull it off because I'm sure Patrickbeverly can invent plays.
I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. I don't think we lose to Phoenix, bro. If we play if you gotta think about how Phoenix plays, and you gotta think about what their weakness is. They can't defend the paint. They struggle at defending big men. Drummond and Vooch gonna have a field day. And the way that Caruso and Beverly is defending the outside perimeter, they're not getting no easy 3-point shots against us. The only thing I'm worried about is that guy, Booker.
I was gonna say Booker. That's who kills us.
And Kevin Durant hasn't been playing. I'm guessing he's recovering from some kind of injury, or they're saving him for the playoffs. So he hasn't been playing.
Yeah, he's supposed to be playing sometime in March.
Right. But if he plays, it's going to be a tougher game. Now we're talking about something. You know what I mean? But I think they can actually win that Phoenix game, man. I think Toronto is going to be the game because Toronto actually got the big bodies to throw at us.
Yeah, they got Boucher. They got Siakam. They got Siakam. They got a couple of guys, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's gonna be tough.
Right. All right, Bulls fans, thanks for joining us tonight. Big win, 2 wins in a row, and I'm gonna tell you guys right now, I got this team going to the playoffs. I do, and I was even willing. You too, Kataka?
Yep, I do.
And
I think we can probably get 7 or 8.
If we get 7th, we're gonna have to win like 1 game at least to stay in that 7th.
Yeah.
And if we get the 8th, we're gonna have to win 2 games. This play on nonsense, I don't like it, but it is what it is, man. Gotta do what we gotta do, and I got confidence in these guys. If they play the way they've been playing the last 2 games, they can get a spot.
Mm-hmm.
Have a good night, Chicago. Until the next game, we'll see you after Toronto game. Go Bulls.
Go Bulls.